The merchant glanced at Mir Hamza and winked. Quietly, he handed a pouch of gold to Mir Hamza's man. Shaukat whispered into Liakat's ear, "See, Father's plan worked perfectly. The snake is dead, and the stick remains unbroken." The three, father and sons, smiled, satisfied with their victory. They had no idea that the man they believed dead, Rahim, was already preparing their doom. As they celebrated, a deep rumble shook the ground beneath them. At first, they thought it was thunder, and eyes turned hopefully to the sky, but it was clear, and the sun still spat fire. The earth trembled. Birds rose screaming from their nests. Massive stones placed atop the well by 10 men began to shift. It felt as if some immense and majestic force below was pushing them upward. Mir Hamza's face turned pale. What is happening?" The merchant trembled. Meanwhile, in the underworld, Rahim stood before the red-hot lock. Flames radiated such heat that his hair and eyebrows began to singe. The Ifrit behind him laughed cruelly. "Do not touch me, human," it bellowed. "This lock will burn your soul as well." Rahim looked at his scorched hands. Then he placed the blue pearl Jamal had given him into his mouth. "O Allah, take my hands, but give water to my village." With a scream, he grasped the glowing iron lock with his bare, burning hands. A terrifying sizzle echoed as flesh began to scorch. Smoke rose from his arms, pain washing over him like a tidal wave. It felt as though thousands of scorpions were stinging him at once. But Rahim did not release the lock. Then something miraculous happened. As his human flesh burned, a new form emerged. Transparent, glass-like skin, glowing blue like water, began to cover him. His mortal body was disappearing, replaced by a living liquid essence. Rahim was transforming, becoming one with water itself. Summoning the last ounce of his soul's strength, he gave a tremendous shove. The ancient magical lock, bound for centuries, melted under the heat of his sacrifice and broke apart. Chains clattered to the ground. And then the moment the world had waited for arrived. Behind the black wall, the flood of Abe Hayat, water of life, was unleashed. It was not just water, it was a storm, a tidal wave of blue, cold, and powerful energy rushing toward Rahim. The Ifrit screamed. This was impossible. The fire being was instantly engulfed, the flames extinguished in an instant. The water swallowed it, turning smoke to nothingness. Rahim was carried along by the current. There was no more burning, only the invigorating chill of life-giving water. He was not drowning, he was becoming part of the water, merging with its essence. The earth trembled. The valley of Akik echoed with a strange, otherworldly resonance. Near the well, the villagers, thirsty, fearful, hopeless, felt a miracle sweep over the land. The dry earth cracked open, streams sprang forth, and the once parched well overflowed with water so pure it gleamed like crystal. But Rahim's faith was as solid as a rock. He clenched the blue pearl tightly in his fist. "I have not come to save myself. I have come to save my village," he shouted. "Step aside, human," the Ifrit hissed, venom dripping from its molten form. "For whom?" Rahim bellowed. "For those who pushed me into the well? For that uncle who tried to kill me? No, I came for the innocent, for those who suffer without cause." The Ifrit's eyes burned with fury. "Then burn and turn to ash." It hurled a massive fireball at Rahim. He squeezed his eyes shut. As the flames struck, the blue pearl in his hand flared, forming a cold, protective shield. The fire touched him and passed harmlessly by. Rahim realized then the pearl would protect him from the Ifrit's attacks, but the lock could only be broken through his own sacrifice. Pain would be unavoidable. With resolve, he ran across the trembling bridge. Lava roared beneath him, heat scorching the planks, but he did not stop. He reached the infernal lock. Meanwhile, above ground, in the valley of Akik, dawn had arrived, but it was a pale, sorrowful light. Villagers had gathered around Rahim's well, but today their assembly was not for water. Mir Hamza Khan, Rahim's uncle, stood on a high platform, clad in white, fake tears glistening in his eyes. Beside him, Shaukat and Liaquat loomed, their feet near the well's edge. "My dear brothers and sisters," Mir Hamza intoned, his voice heavy, "our nephew, Rahim, that naive boy, went down into this dry well last night, chasing an old treasure tale. The ground collapsed, the well swallowed him. We tried to save him, but it was Allah's will. He is gone." The villagers' legs wobbled. Women began to wail and tear at their faces. "Oh, the water angel is gone. What will we do now?" Seizing the moment, Mir Hamza revealed his true plan. "This well is cursed. It took a young man's life. That is why I have had it sealed forever. But do not fear. I will build an inn here. Water tankers from the city will sell water right at this spot. You will get water, but it will cost you." The villagers bowed their heads, helpless and desperate. Thirst had broken them. The ground beneath Mir Hamza Khan and his sons began to tremble. The well they had sealed with massive stones stirred like a slumbering volcano awakening. The crowd panicked, screaming and scattering. "Run! An earthquake!" But this was no earthquake. Suddenly, a deafening explosion shook the well. The enormous stones, which seemed immovable, were blasted into the air as if they were made of cotton, landing far away. From the black mouth of the well erupted a towering fountain of water. It was not muddy or dirty. The water was milky white, sparkling, and so cold that the sweltering heat around it froze instantly. The fountain shot 50 feet into the sky, like a blessing sent from Allah. As the water fell, the dust settled. Wilted trees revived, green shoots bursting forth. The villagers ran toward it, delirious of joy. "Water! Water!" they cried. But the spectacle had not yet ended. Riding the waves of the towering water column, a shadow emerged. His clothes were drenched, but no water dripped from them. His garb seemed to be made of water itself. His face shone like the full moon of the 14th night. It was Rahim. But this was no longer the Rahim they had known. The boy pushed into the well. Now he was a spiritual fusion of human and water. His eyes no longer had pupils. They were like deep rolling oceans. Mir Hamza froze. His soul faltered. How is he alive? This is a ghost." His legs buckled, and he fell into the mud. Shaukat and Liaquat were paralyzed with fear. Rahim descended gently, carried by the waves. As his feet touched the ground, the well's flood settled into a network of canals, flowing into every field and garden. Life-giving water spread across the parched land.
Rahim's hand still held the blue pearl, now transformed into a glimmering ring on his finger. It was time for justice. He did not speak. He merely raised the finger of his sacrifice toward Mir Hamza. The water, which had been calmly nourishing the fields, suddenly changed course. Streams twisted and coiled like living serpents, advancing on Mir Hamza, Shaukat, and Liaquat. "Run! It's not water!" Shaukat screamed. But where could they escape? The water surrounded them on all sides, rising from ankles to knees, then to their waists. Rahim did not intend to kill them. Death would have been the easiest punishment. But now the cool, sweet water rose to their lips. Mir Hamza writhed, opening his mouth, desperate to drink, leaning down. Every time Mir Hamza and his sons tried to touch the water, it retreated as if by magic. The more they bent, the lower the water sank. Shaukat tried to scoop it into his hands, but it slipped through his fingers like sand. His palms remained bone dry. Rahim's voice rang out, deep and thunderous. "Uncle, you shed blood for this water, didn't you? You took the rights of an orphan. From today, this water will remain around you, but it will never be yours. You will live with thirst forever. You may stand in rivers, but this water will not let you drink. This is divine justice. This is the punishment of Tantalus." Mir Hamza and his sons clawed at the water like madmen, screaming, "Water! Water!" But the water refused to touch them. Their wealth, their pride, everything was helpless against nature itself. The merchant who had bought the land, terrified at the scene, threw down his bag of gold and fled to the city, saving his life. The villagers fell at Rahim's feet, weeping. "You are no ordinary human. You are an angel sent by Allah." Rahim lifted them gently. "I am no angel," he said. "I am only a man who never let go of patience." A fragrant breeze swept through the air. Only Rahim heard it, the soft, familiar voice of Jimmel. "Rahim, your promise is fulfilled. You no longer belong to this world. The water is calling you." Rahim looked at his village one last time, now lush and alive. He slowly stepped back toward the well. As he entered the waters, his body dissolved into water itself, merging with the life-giving stream. The fate of Wadi Akik changed forever. Rahim's fields and the well became legendary across the Arab lands as the spring of blessings. Crops flourished and no one went hungry. People say that the water from that well cures every illness. And Mir Hamza? His fate was a nightmare for those who hear it. He and his sons went mad, wandering the valley like lunatics. Travelers tell tales of seeing 3 old men along the riverbanks, standing in the flowing water, desperate to drink, yet the water always eludes them. Their lips dry like leather, their eyes cold as stone. They live hell on earth, even while surrounded by water. Even today, elders across the Arab lands tell their children the story of Rahim, to teach them that patience and virtue can make springs gush even from stone, and greed and cruelty can leave one dying of thirst in the middle of the ocean.